Some big news broke not too long ago, Kerry. Brock Purdy is feeling pretty good right now.
Yes, he is.
Because he just got the bag, a big-time payday. And it's been a conversation people have had now for really probably a year and a half of, do you pay him? Is he the guy? How do you do it if he is? Here's the details of this. It's going to be 5-year contract extension valued at $265 million. Here's the real thing that matters.
Of course.
$181 million guaranteed.
That's what matters.
Get to that part.
Yep.
And the agreement positions him to basically make around $53 million a year. And so way to go from Mr. Irrelevant to Mr. 50-something million dollars a year. So initial reactions from me, Kerry, Rob and I have been sitting here, the duration of me doing the show with him, joining the Odd Couple, and I've said I'm going to pay him.
Yes.
I said he's done everything you've asked of him, and now the best thing to me that happened, believe it or not, Kerry, is a down season. Because to me, they could have been worried, saying, all right, we only saw you at your peak. You kind of came into a good situation. Maybe you caught struck while the iron was hot. We had a bunch of people here, and they got to see him at his low, and they realized, okay, his low wasn't that low, and it consisted of us having a lot of issues.
Right.
Having some issues at the line, having some issues with guys in and out of the lineup. And some people will say, well, everybody has teams, guys that are injured. I would argue I'd rather you almost be injured for 10 weeks than 2 weeks here and then out here, and because then we have no fluidity.
Yes.
If you're just out, then at least we know we can switch it up, and now we know what we're going to do. When you're in, then you're out, but then he's out, but then he's in, but he's out. It throws you off a little bit. So to me, I think they were able to look at the peak of him, the low of him, and then find him happy median and say, all right, if that's his worst, we'll be okay, because it's my job, John Lynch, to supply him with everything he needs around him.
Right.
It's my job now to find the new Debo, right? It's my job to solidify the offensive line some more, to solidify some of the defenders that have left. That's my job. But if I saw him at his low, and that was it last year, which wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible, I'll take that. And in my last point here, to talk to you, Kerry, here's some other reasons why I like what I've seen from him. He's still very young. It seems like he's been around for so long. And he's like 25, 26 years old. So that I know what I have now, and this goes through 2030. So I know what I have for the next 5 years, and it obviously could be longer if we decide to do that again.
Right.
But I look at the list of guys who are making the most money. So let's look at this, the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL on a per-year base. Of this list, Kerry,
Oh, I know.
there's only 2 people that you would absolutely say, okay, they're better than him. The rest to me are debatable.
Right.
Some is clear-cut he's better than them.
Right.
I'm going to read this list off, then I'll let you go, my brother. Dak Prescott, as we know, he's making the $60 million we all reference.
Yep.
They're equal, or if not, and if you're going based off resume, Brock Purdy's smoking him. Resume.
Okay.
Joe Burrow is the only person we go, okay, well, only 2. Okay, he's better. Making 55. Other person next up, Josh Allen, making 55. Now, Jordan Love is debatable. Right now, Brock Purdy's resume, he can say, dude, I've been to NFC Championship games. I've been to Super Bowls. What do you want? What more do you want from me? Super Bowl. And then Trevor Lawrence at 55. Clearly, he watches him. Tua at 53. Tua's good. I think he's not that. I think at Brock Purdy, I'm feeling good looking him eye to eye.
Yep.
And then Jared Goff, which I think is actually more the perfect comp.
You do.
Yeah.
Now, that one I don't agree with, but go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
And that's the list.
Yeah, okay.
So those are the list of guys making equal or more money.
Yeah.
And I think only 2 people you can justify. Now, obviously, Pat Mahomes isn't on the list.
Of course.
Lamar Jackson isn't on, and they'll get paid again.
Yeah.
But I'm saying as of right now, if I'm Brock Purdy and his agent, I'm saying, why am I not getting paid? My resume is better than everybody on this list except maybe Joe Burrow, in the sense that he's been to a Super Bowl, but you have a higher winning percentage.
Yeah.
Who am I looking at and saying, ooh, I can't, I'm worried that I'm not as good as him.
Right.
So that will be my reasoning. I saw him at his low. I've seen him at his high. I feel comfortable with that. He's still young, and the money is about right. You got to pay quarterbacks, period.
100%.
And this rate, $53 million, it makes sense.
Everything you said is correct except for the comparison of Goff. I think Goff is a better quarterback. Goff has been to the Super Bowl as well. He didn't win it. And Goff is in a really good situation to keep building on that and to, make all of his stuff and everything he's earned valid, right?
When I was saying the comp of career.
No, I got you.
Like both been to Super Bowl,
Yeah,
both
yeah.
had some winning successful runs.
For sure. Yeah, no, but it's one of those things where, you know what? You sound like Brock Purdy's agent. That's what you sound like.
Well, thank you. You know, my wife is a lawyer.
There you go.
No,
and everything you said would be what would be presented to the team. And obviously, he's in a perfect situation, perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
It's always perfect time and place. Because if this was another year where there was other quarterbacks out there that could rival him or make him expendable, then it's a different conversation. Okay. Right now, where we are and where the league is, period, there are no other quarterbacks that you could take anyway. So if you have a guy that you know knows your system, has proven that he can get you to the mountaintop, obviously hasn't won it yet.
Right.
And then the point you just made, though, this past year where things weren't perfect, did he look great? No. But he looked good at times.
Yep.
He looked serviceable, and he looked like a guy that even when things are at its worst, we can count on this guy to be this guy. And he is this guy right now, right? And so that's point blank, period. And it's the market. You can't.
That's the key part
that's the part, right? Like, you can't fight the market when you're one of the I would say top tier guys.
That second
group, you know what I mean? Like, he's right there. And the market says this is your value, you got to get paid that way. And if I was him, if they didn't pay me that way, I would have left and tried to test that market to see, because somebody would be in need. There are teams out there that could still use a quarterback, right? And so you throw all those factors into play and put him in this situation, you had to pay the man. And I think it's a good move by San Francisco.
And I don't think it's crazy, because typically this happens, and let's say he had an even better season. Let's say they didn't even have to go to the Super Bowl, but let's just say they were 12-5.
Yeah.
Won the division, 12-5. Maybe they won a first round of playoffs, and then maybe even they lost. Well, now he will be saying, look what I've done historically, look what I did this year. Now I want why can't I look at Dak Prescott and say I deserve more than him?
Right.
And you wouldn't have a case.
Right.
You'd have to go.
For sure.
So to me, this deal actually is team friendly when you're projecting out another 5 years. It fits to me about where he is as far as rankings of quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
So it's not an asinine group of money. Now, again, I've argued this with Rob. I wouldn't pay him I'd let him go. I'm like, dude, quarterbacks don't grow on trees. Quarterbacks who I can depend on don't grow on trees. Quarterbacks I ain't never got to worry about drama.
Right.
Don't grow on trees.
No.
Who shows me he can win a game, because that's what he did against the Lions in that NFC Championship game. He came back and he led every big first down. He got it with his legs, with his arm. So he showed me he can do that in big phases as well. And he's not perfect. You could throw to some games that he wasn't great.
No quarterback is.
Right. And he also was an MVP candidate the season before last. So to me, it just makes perfect sense. The money, the timing, the guy, the system, and how you can move forward. You still believe you're in your window. You only can be in your window with the quarterback, and you got it. So I think it makes sense. I'm not mad, and I'm congrats to him. Last point, too, what an amazing story. Literally, your nickname is Mr. Irrelevant. Now, all the money problems are irrelevant.
Nothing's irrelevant now, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's one of those things where, it's one of those rag to riches stories. I'm sure I don't know his background, his backstory, where he came from. I'm sure it's not rags. But when it comes to the bottom of the totem pole in the NFL, being that guy and working at your craft and winning a job, that's what the NFL story is about, right? If you wanted to preach it or tell any young kid out there that they do have a chance if they do it this way, he would be the poster child for that.
100%.